Hello, this is Dr. Jeff. There's a lot of people out there who will say, hey, I'm a very diverse person, inclusive, but what does it really mean to be culturally competent? Attended a professional learning today titled Centering Community-Based Learning, Community, Cultural Wealth, and Funds of Knowledge. It was a really great activity that we did, which was built off the summary of Tara Yosso's cultural wealth model, which focused on a strength-based perspective, and it looks at 6 forms of cultural capital. And I'll go ahead and share a little bit about each of these 6 forms of cultural capital. The first is aspirational capital, defined as the hopes and dreams that students have. So even though there could be some very strong adversity that's within the family, oftentimes there's still great hope for the child. This is referred to as aspirational capital. The next is linguistic capital. So we live in a color-blessed nation. We also live in a nation that has many different languages, and it's an asset to the community. Many students grow up not just with 1, but with 2, sometimes even more languages. That's linguistic capital. And you can think of many ways that could be beneficial when a student is bilingual in multiple spaces. The third kind of capital is familial capital. Oftentimes, many students have connections not only to their parents, but also to their extended family or others who they consider as family, who are so supportive and encouraging to them. That's referred to as familial capital. The fourth is social capital. Now, social capital are the networks and social contacts that individual has, and gives that person access to all kinds of information. So you know a person that then has access to college information or careers or other kinds of very important information. It's referred to as social capital. There's also number 5, navigational capital. Navigational capital is the student's ability to navigate through social institutions. And so they might have learned how to do that. So even though the social environments may not have been supportive, they've learned how to overcome adversity. So they have a very strong amount of resilience to know how to overcome challenging spaces. So that would be called navigational capital. And then finally, the 6th kind of capital discussed by Tara Yosso is resistance capital. So with resistance capital, it comes from the communities where securing equal rights and freedom and collective freedom was not something that was necessarily a given, but something that had to be really advocated for. And so from there comes that kind of capital, that strength to push for what is right, to push for social justice. So these are the 6 forms of cultural capital discussed by Tara Yosso. So the way we learned about this was also very helpful. What we first did was we read a little bit first. That was step 1. Step 2 was being divided up into 6 different groups, and then each group becoming kind of like, you could say, an expert of one, and they created a poster of it. So in step 3, what happens is the group of about 60 folks was divided into 6 groups. And in each group, you had someone who had created that particular poster. They would become the docent and share out on that poster. And then as they moved and rotated around the class, they all had a chance to learn about all 6 of the capitals through the docents, through the expert groups. So that was a wonderful way to learn about Tara Yosso's cultural wealth model and the 6 forms of cultural capital.